Because oftentimes what can be defense is the tenant power is tries a problem. I would endeavor to stay mostly one place for our camera purposes. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is George Kubrisky. I'm the chairman of the Mergers Acquisitions Forum. On behalf of our board, ours Remy board with both show business and networking, I would welcome you to the M&A Forum. You have a full house. Thanks for being here. Great speed for great presentation. Look forward to hearing that. The M&A Forum was founded almost 20 years ago with an idea of serving the middle market in the mergers and acquisitions space.
Investors are ready.
Our tenants are people network.
We're going to go.
Yeah. Meeting. Yeah.
Just don't leave this fair.
You from the else, big nation. On this core component that this is the greatest, most open networking city of the United States. Yet around during
In one corner.
our mission statement, the list of y'all hadn't here, Park Long Road, is up here. In sort of your city network. Get forward. That's our goal. I'll also ask you to reach out to something you don't know. It's not just your free. Make a connection. Okay, the best connection is in the
You're good. Don't worry about it.
or
No, we're totally.
get everyone coming to the M&A or meeting, reach out.
Yeah, it's totally.
That's our visions be busted, what you group, a space, Kevin supplied the goals of the organization. Remember, in four of us really like this, but out you and your thing, purpose, over yourself. There's our board. Again, excluding my fiction, the hardest working board show business. Board members, please stand up, give a wave so everybody knows who you are. All these things that I ask you to do today, be read a collecting. Look for our board member. Stay at
Never on the build a good today, but I'm sure we could kill it. I'm appreciate.
Our sponsors, we couldn't do one of the things you do without our sponsors. We're pleased to add Triad today. Jason, where are you? Stand up, giveaway. This Rory and this Burner are our new conference sponsors. Thank you. We look forward to you and your firms to keep paid and welcome you at the parties sponsors. I hope our gold sponsors. Then sure, Crystal Wallen is our president. We're gonna give her a few minutes to topic out per firm before we jump into some of our presentation.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Great to see such a big crowd. I probably wondering, how does someone without a finance degree that doesn't know what EBITDA means end up in the president's role? Well, let me tell you. Because HR is so important when it comes to an acquisition or mergers, I had to get to know what M&A was. And what better place than to come into a room like this with people like you who really know what you're talking about that I can introduce to my clients, because I'm not going to try and learn it. So, but I have learned a few things. And what Venture does to help with M&A is really kind of get the seller prepared, get the buyer aware of the importance of different pieces of HR. So we help with benefits, payroll, workers' comp, and most importantly, HR compliance. So some of the things that I think would be helpful to share with you is what have I seen over the years. I've been doing this for over 20, so I'm much younger than I look. That's my daughter over there. She just got into Texas A&M veterinary school. Yeah.
No, let's go.
I'm already embarrassing her, so I'm dipping again. But what I've noticed is a lot of business owners don't pay attention when it comes to the importance of compliance on HR or HR efficiencies. Because what happens when they go through that merger and acquisition process and the due diligence, the buyer sees some of these things that aren't working so well, and it loses some trust in that relationship. And what ends up happening is it devalues their company. So working with someone like Venture, we can help you make sure that you're in compliance, that you know who should be classified as a W-2 or 1099. That's a big one. We also do international, so that happens quite a bit. International payroll, people say as long as they sign the contract and they're okay with getting paid as a 1099, it's okay. It's really not. It could really hurt you in a month, not just in an acquisition event and running a business. So we like to help you with avoiding those things. And then also benefits. Sometimes what I see is business owners are needing paid attention to when the renewal is and when they want to do this acquisition. When a renewal is coming up in the middle of an acquisition, this is a dangerous place to be because now you just made your buying price unstable. And so you don't know what that renewal is going to be. The buyer is going to be concerned about it. So finding ways to make sure your benefits are up to date, that you have good plans in place, and that you can control some of that cost. It's not only going to make it better for you, or the buyer, but also the employees. So this is why I'm here, happy to help. I learned so much through the years. I'd love to reshare that wealth with all of you, and feel free to reach out to me again. Gretchen Lawler was Venture Employer Solutions.
Gretchen. Membership. That flawed gentleman directly across from me is the menace, our membership chair. You're not a member, you become a member. What do you say again? Not a member, become a member. Lots of benefits. The most regular one is attendance at our meetings, right? We have a finite number of seats. Members get first crack at the chance to appear at our lunch. The rest, Jason, the seafood out it. You can't find Jason when you shout to another board member. No, yes. This is the point of the program where those of you who have special name tags, like I can't describe that color. But those of you who are first timers here, please put the hand up. Welcome. There's now no excuse for anybody in the room not to reach out to a prospective member, to a guest. Okay, right? The number of guests. Got to know who the regular attendees and the members are. Reach out to these folks. We want everybody to be connected and take something away from the forum, both intellectually and from a networking perspective. Our upcoming events, make a note, put them on your calendar, take a screenshot. Put them on the calendar. We look forward to seeing you in RFS. That's the end of my comments. We get to the real beat of the meeting. I'm going to introduce Jason Lee, who is our export number, or sponsor kit. Casey Benitez, our speaker, and you need that presentation. Again, from my good app, thank you. Be here. Forward to those of you that I haven't, and that'll go on great lunch.
Thank you, George. Good afternoon. So glad to have you guys today. So I'm excited about having Abby join us. And so one of the powers of this room, I think the story behind how I met Abby is just like it tells the story about what this organization is and what we're capable of doing. A little over a year ago, I had a guy that I worked with almost 15 years ago in the Midwest reach out to me and tell me I needed to meet a guy. I think that's pretty cool. The guy's not involved in M&A at all. He's in real estate, and he reaches out to me through LinkedIn and says, "Dude, I just met this guy, and you've got to meet him. I think you're doing some kind of M&A stuff, and you've got to have this guy on, come out and do, be a part of what you guys are doing." So I scheduled a call, and a year later, here we are. And so I'm blessed to be able to say Abby's become a friend, and now having the opportunity to have him come and speak to this organization is really, really exciting. I will say this, I'm going to try to do my best. Abby's spoken in front of 10,000 people at a time. I've spoken in front of a solid 10. So I'm going to do everything I can to try to hold the room down and make sure we deliver some great stuff for you today. Now, Abby has got a background that I'll let him tell his own story, but he is with Meridian 84. He's a partner in that business. I'll have him tell a little bit about what they do. but he's got an unbelievable background. I'm excited to share his story. We're going to talk about the heart in M&A. The one thing that when we got together, we kind of did our first interview, and it was like, okay, what are we going to bring to the audience? And the thing that really resonated with me, and I started talking to him about, I said, man, you really have a heart for this stuff. You really have a heart for people. And I could tell that his genuine sincerity for what was happening with the individual on the receiving end, right? The seller of that business really resonated with me. And I said, and then we just said, that's it. It's the heart of M&A. It's really getting to the heart of what's going on with these individuals that are in this position. And so we're going to talk a little bit about Abi's experience with the deal that they just did, kind of his process of going through that, and then also talk about some of the tools and things that we should be doing as advisors in the marketplace to make sure we're always getting our clients prepared and emotionally prepared for what this experience is going to be like. I can tell you firsthand, it is a really, really intense experience for these folks, and we've got to be there to shepherd them and help navigate them through the process, regardless of what your role is. If you're a trusted advisor, you should take absolute ownership in that. We're going to talk about that. So, Abi, why don't you come on up? Adi Golar, everybody.
Thank you so
Great to
much.
see you.
Yeah, likewise.
So the only thing more stressful than getting ready to do an interview is getting ready to try to figure out what to wear when you're going to be on stage with Abi, because he's such a good dresser. It's like the equivalent of trying to compete against Jeremy over there. It's a lot of work.
This is
It's a lot of work. So I had to go with the green Masters jacket, and I'm hoping I'll pull it off.
No, it's a good look. Like my number one stressor definitely coming here is like, okay, what am I going to wear?
Well,
And,
actually,
and that's the first one. The second is hair product. We had a whole conversation about that.
hair product.
I went from like the Uribe system to like yeah, you don't have that problem.
Yeah, it's just like
no,
a
it's
little
good.
in the front, and we're good.
Yeah, I don't think it's on. Oh, yeah. I'll just yell. How about that? That's good. Push. Nope, that's off. I'll get it. Or maybe not.
Can I hit?
Yeah.
Just double check.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Is this better? Better?
Now it's
Worse?
flashing.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. It's flashing green and red. So we'll...
Battery might be good.
Battery. No?
Okay, just
Kind of
touch-
ish. A little. Okay. I'm just
Just hold it right there.
All right. So oh yeah, don't move my. So I have a really funny story. Just
shake it and hit it. That's what.
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
Okay,
That's
got
it.
it.
That's shaker. Okay, really quick. So I have a 3-year-old boy, and we're at we're at Whole Foods, and he's sitting in the cart, in the shopping cart, and we're checking out, and he looks at the gal who's checking us out, the cashier, and he's like, EBITDA, and then she looks at me, and I'm like, you're having a conversation with him, like what you talk to him, right? And then he's like, what's that? And he's like, he looked at me, and then he looked at her, and I kid you not, the next words that come out of his mouth, like floor me, he said, "You're fired."
To her.
Yeah. I'm like, attaboy. That's an attaboy. That's good. Anyway, I felt compelled.
So I've actually interviewed him, and his little kids come walking up behind him and everything. So he's got a beautiful family. And I'm actually not surprised by that, because they're just kind of hanging out in the background while he's working all day. Really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously a family man, and one of the things I value about you. Abi, real quick, for the group, before we dive in a little bit about your background, tell us a little bit about your company, what you're doing, and how you got here.
Yeah, Meridian 84 is providing critical capital for the lower middle market. We'll do one transaction maybe every 18 months to 24 months. So we're really focused on the operator. We're really going in on people. Does it make sense? We'll talk about the veterinary deal that we just did. Who's the daughter of veterinarian? So much to talk about. This is going to be so great. And when I look at industries, I'm looking for really unique niches. I'm looking for high barriers to entry, a high cost of switching. There's got to be some kind of certification, and then we'll get involved. We'll lend our balance sheet if we need to, and then take a deal to market. Typically, it's a roll-up, so typically it's consolidation. We're looking for a minimum 3 to 5 million enterprise EBITDA, and then we're off to the races. So it's kind of fun.
Awesome. So Avi, I'm always intrigued, and I think like how people get in, like even when we first met, I'm like, how's the guy start doing this?
Yeah.
And then as we've gotten closer and closer, I've learned more and more about your story. So go all the way back to the beginning. Talk to us through about how you got involved into the M&A space, what brought you here today, and then also really kind of how you developed this heart for people through this process.
Yeah, so I was raised in Texas Township in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's literally, that's what it's called, Texas Township. Growing up in the 90s, there's like 3,000 people in my township. And back then, Southwest Michigan was this really big hub of PE and M&A activity. And I actually started like having a really sour taste in my mouth for PE and M&A because all my friends left.
Mm.
Like when I think about PE, when I think about M&A, I just think about loss. Like that was my view of so it's the same way like healthcare thinks about private equity. They love each other. No, they don't. They hate each other. But this was my worldview growing up. And so I said, man, I need to really understand this game of money. I need to understand this game of business. And so I did exactly what every Indian kid in a household does. You're either going to become a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, or hotel owner. And I decided, hey, I'm going to go to engineering school, and I'm going to get my degree in electrical engineering. And I thought, okay, this makes sense. It's reasonable. During my time at Michigan, I built 2 companies in college. The first was rent to buy, and the second was a car brokerage. We weren't really like a broker. I'd find cars on Craigslist and then sell them on eBay. So we're part of like the mass exodus of 1965 Mustang fastbacks. Like I can decode a VIN for you in a matter of seconds. We shipped them all to like Australia, the UK, Japan, whomever. Sold both of those. But then I also thought, well, geez, everybody that's wealthy has real estate in their portfolio. I want to really get into the real estate game. Super long story short, I was at the center of a joint FBI Department of Justice investigation from the age of 18 to 20 and a half, maybe 21. By the time I graduated college, I not only proved my innocence, but then I put my mentor in jail for 15 years. That was fun. I ended up with a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, 4 foreclosures, and $1 million in debt. That was great. And then the next like month, I turned 21 years old. I'm like, where's this bottle of Jack Daniels? He and I are going to become really good friends. Like, he's my uncle now. But the through line to this was I was like, initially when I was growing up, I wanted my friends not to leave, and I wanted to feel that sense of belonging. And then in college, I needed to believe in myself, which I didn't because of going through this and then the academic pressure of Michigan. Like I got a call from the dean of the College of Engineering. He's like, hey, you're a part of the Square Root Club. Do y'all know what the Square Root Club is? Nick Hill definitely does not know what the Square Root Club is. It's where the square root of your GPA is higher than your GPA. All right, what's the square root of 9? 3. Square root of 4? 2. The only way like that equation makes sense is if the number you're square rooting is less than 1. So freshman year, first semester, 0.833. You guys know that. My parents still don't know that. So I did this thing in Detroit. Like every self-respecting adult, you run away from all your problems. And so I did a stint. I kind of farted along the Midwest a little bit, trying to find myself. And even then, it was just conversations with mentors, conversations with people that said, hey, you have an engineering degree. You built these businesses. Maybe it makes sense to talk about the impact that the business growth had on you to other people. And that led to a decade-long nationally syndicated radio program on Wall Street, where I interviewed everybody on the street, the private credit, private equity, family offices. That was a really unique experience. And what I realized then was I was creating relationships with people, but I could translate real capital markets inside knowledge and pair that with deals that made sense. And I thought, well, I could do 10 of these roll-ups every single year. No, I can do like 1 every 2 years.
Right.
And hence that connection. And man, I love what I do.
So one of the things that I thought was intriguing, we're going to talk about this in a second with the matrix that you created, but your time in radio, right? So we're talking about hours upon hours of these conversations. Walk us through that journey and how it really shaped you for the role that you're in now.
When you're interviewing like the Breen Capitals or Nomura, like your vocabulary your level of knowledge, the cadence in which you're speaking, whether it's an upswing or a downswing in your voice tonality and pattern, these things matter. That was pretty much a beat into my head every single day before the show and then after. But you get a cadence of, you get so much exposure to what they're thinking and how, and what the heartbeat of New York feels about a variety of industries. Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, dental was the thing. Everybody was doing a dental roll-up. Everybody and their mother had a dental office. It's like everybody had real estate, dental office, right? And you just saw these multiple skyrocket. And you go on radio and you're like, well, why are they skyrocketing? Well, it's skyrocketing because one, they like the revenue. Two, it's healthcare, right? So you've got high barriers to entry. You have a high cost of switching. And all that information was kind of fed to me. It was a nationally syndicated show. It was every single day for 10 years. It was live for 2 hours in the morning, drive time from 8 to 10 a.m.
Wow.
And then you have conversations with the lower middle market. And they have no clue
Right.
about anything. And you're like, how do you live your life? Right? This is like the state of my hair right now. This is like, I wish I knew which hair product to use, but I can't freaking find it. And Beyonce's telling me that I should go with hers. And I had no idea. And that to me was just magic. And growing up in the Midwest, I mean, if you saw a neighbor in distress, like we all do, you see a neighbor in distress, you want to help. And I made it my mission to help Americans level up their game from a business vocabulary perspective, from a financial perspective. And I realized there's way more help that is needed. And if they had some level of access to New York, but they didn't want to deal with like the cesspool of degenerates that are in New York.
Right.
Right? They're all my friends, and I can call them that because I'm part of it, maybe. But like, they had no idea on how to build the pitch deck. They had no idea how to build a narrative. And even if they did, it didn't sound institutional. The deck did not look, I mean, it looked super Mickey Mouse cookie cutter. But there's a cadence and there's a vocabulary and there's a way in which you approach capital markets. And so that's what I do now.
Well, I think you said like this season in your life, right? You've on one side, you're spending all this time talking to these guys in New York, right? These guys in the back room and they're making the deals. But then on the other side, you're on the radio talking to the farmer in the Midwest or the guy who owns the construction company, right? And so you're kind of this liaison between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you started to kind of develop this heart for that person, for that avatar, right? That's the guy that I'm going to go serve.
Yeah.
And through that process and through some of your own past experiences, started figuring out where this gap was. And talk to us about the gap that's typically taking place between that person and, you know, the guy that the guys that are out buying the companies. Where's the disconnect?
It's the unconscious incompetence, right? Like you don't know that you don't know. And many of us as advisors in the room, like we've got to help that journey, right? We've read the book, The Trusted Advisor, right? Charlie Green is a co-author of that book. He's a good friend of mine. And he talks about 3 steps to taking action. Third step being taking action. The first step is building deep trust. Y'all want to take a wild guess on what the second step is? Any takers? None? I'll stay here all day. Okay,
Building
communication.
more
No, it's you've got to shift your identity.
Okay.
Like if I'm a long-term renter, I'm never going to be a homeowner unless I see myself be the homeowner. So I've got to shift my identity, right?
Right.
So it's the same concept, even in selling a business or even in growing a business. Like I've seen countless individuals that will have really good businesses. They're doing $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year, EBITDA, and they're like, well, I'm not going to sell it. I don't want to give it to my kids. They just want to be Instagram influencers or on YouTube or like go get some open claw Mac Mini and trade all day, right? Like that's what they want to do. I want to give it to somebody that's going to uphold my legacy for a very long period of time. I want to do that. And then this person's spouse is sitting right next to them. And then you're reading, in the HVAC company, you're reading her body language and she's like, yeah, what are you going to do about this, right? And you know, she's got like her arms crossed. She's very passive aggressive, not happy about any of it because her husband told her that he was going to exit in 2 to 3 years. It had no options, has no understanding of tax consequences, tax impact. How do you maximize anything? There's no succession planning. There's no exit planning. There's nothing. And that pissed me off.
So if we're thinking about that gap, right? The gap between the seller and the buyer, and,
Yeah.
and how frustrated you are in that season. Your desire to not only solve that gap, but then to build a business where you would step in and do that, right? Where you would come in and be the actual buyer who actually cares and actually gives a shit, right? So that's oh, you know,
Bingo.
it's so funny.
Oh God.
I gotta tell the story
no,
real quick.
No, you can't. I know
Yeah,
exactly where you're
because
going.
I just said
Oh, come on.
S-bomb, and I'm sorry, but earlier we were practicing and he dropped like 3 F-bombs, and then he used the word idiot, and he goes, "Oh, can I say that? I'm sorry, I used the word idiot." And I said,
I'm not the whole
"It's
thing.
okay, dude. You dropped
Yeah.
3 F-bombs like 5 minutes ago. You're good. Like you can use the word idiot." So, anyways, I'm the one who's been an idiot now, but
No, you're not.
no, kudos to you.
Yeah.
So, but let's take
Yeah.
the situation and where you're saying, okay, I'm going to step in and try to help these people where they can get into a place of making a decision. So what's the gap that's usually happening? So what's going on in the seller, and then what's going on with the buyer? Why is there such a disconnect?
It's first, it's a knowledge thing. Secondly, it's an access thing. Right? You can have all the knowledge in the world. Without action, it's not going to make a difference.
Okay.
And for a lot of these sellers, they're looking at buyers, wondering, are they worthy? Are they only doing SBA? How much capital are they putting up? How much of a seller note am I going to have to take on? Do I need to be in the business for another 3 to 5 years? Do I have to PG the note because didn't the SBA rules change, right? July 1st or something, you've got to PG if it's like beyond a certain amount. I don't know, for all the loan brokers, maybe, yes, no, kind of. Anyway, so it's a knowledge thing and then it's an access thing. So if you have 2 or 3 sellers that have the same objective, that want to stay in the business for 2 to 3 years, crafting a strategy for them and getting them access to capital markets, maybe they don't need to sell. Maybe they want to take a 3 to 5 million EBITDA enterprise value and turn it into 10 to 15 and then sell it for a significantly higher multiple later down the road. It is a knowledge problem and then an access problem.
Well, one of the things that I know that I see a lot of, and I just went through this with a client, blue collar guy, gets approached by a group, and within 12 weeks, the deal was blown. It was just gone. And this was before they even got really deep. And I think part of that was because the communication was horrible. Like the way that these guys approached him, they weren't able to give him really insight into who he was. And he kept saying that every time I talked to him, every week I talked to him, he's like, these guys don't get me.
Yeah.
These guys don't get me. And so he was hanging on to like this potential number, but he could not get married to the number because he hated the guys he was dating, right? He just knew that those weren't going to be the people for him.
Yeah.
So how do, and what I realized and what it gave me is I thought, they're not speaking his language, right? And then I thought, how many of us every single day in the advisory chair, right? Whether we're lawyers, whether I'm a wealth guy, whether I'm a CPA, how often are we talking and speaking our language when we're not connecting with our clients? And then I'm thinking about how many deals are getting blown up because a guy out there who's throwing money, like this is a lot of money. You're never going to see this kind of money again. This is all about them, and then ready to go beat the heck out of them through a due diligence process.
Yeah.
But they never really earn trust and
Yep.
develop that relationship.
Yep.
And you kind of found a way to do that in your process. And I think it's up on the board right now. We have, what you call your confidence matrix.
Yeah. The
So-
momentum matrix.
The momentum
Yeah.
matrix.
Yeah,
right?
you got it.
So
We'll explain that in a second. I think, but to your
Yeah.
point, just a comment.
yeah.
We spend so much time underwriting a deal. We'll spend so much time doing a financial model, but we don't spend the same energy or capital underwriting people and like really getting to know the person. We'll talk about the vet deal in a sec.
Yeah.
But like I spent 8 months with just the to be named CEO of our veterinary roll up. 8 months dating this dude, just understanding like what's going on, doing a wardrobe rehaul, right? Like his shoe collection. Nice lubes, by the way. Fantastic. Like my biggest problem is you have to get them re-lacquered every 5 wears. So like his whole thing, I needed to understand like what was going on. Why is he doing this a second time? We are just not placing enough emphasis on people. And that is what will ultimately drive EBITDA, it drives revenue, it drives any kind of efficiency. So when we think about how do we make decisions in real time for our people or even for ourselves, this momentum matrix is one tool to help us understand, 1, actions that we can take, and then number 2, to really understand the question, what attachments do we have to the expectations that we set for ourselves and others? Because it's cool to have expectations, but the moment we start attaching ourselves to a particular expectation, that's when we lose the game.
Right. So how do we avoid that pitfall? Because I think a lot of times that's what it is. There's a misinterpretation or missed expectations. And so, and I think of it as almost like paralysis.
Yeah.
Sharing another example, a recent client that I have, the deal has gone perfectly. It's everything couldn't have gone better. It was a strategic opportunity, but these people from the get spoke this guy's language. And so it was very clear what to expect, that they cared about his people. They understood this guy's heart and spoke to his heart from the very beginning. And through that process, they've actually maintained and sustained all that. So it's made it very easy. He's never really lacked the clarity and the ability to move. And then you talk about momentum. They've moved a huge deal, probably faster than you could ever imagine, right? It'll be in under 6 months that they're closing a deal from start to finish, but it's because the owners, the guys that were approaching him to buy the deal from the get, not only this, they knew the guy, right? They've been around each other, but they actually were speaking his language from day one. And they knew what language not to bring to the table, right? They knew, I can't bring this to the table because if we start talking in this language, this dude already said he'll shut it down, right?
They'll check out.
Yeah, they'll check out. So how do you get people when you walked into, let's just use your situation now, right? So you took over this veterinary clinic. It was 8 months that you were dating these guys. How many docs did you guys end up taking over?
10.
And they were all on board?
All of them.
From day one, they were all on board?
Oh, I mean, their spouses weren't.
No, okay. Yeah. So I mean, you got 10 people, 10 doctors, you're going to have conflict.
Yes.
Right. So can you give some examples about where you ran into this and as an operator, you stepped in because you want to have this mission, right? You're on this mission to help them and do your business different, right? So they're probably expecting some, fancy dress dude to come in, throwing numbers, not building any kind of rapport. Walk us through some of the, the pushback that you maybe got, some of the people who weren't really engaged early on, and then how you identified where they were and kind of your matrix of momentum, and then how you got them over the hurdle and on board with what you're trying to do.
So when we first started going into the veterinary space, I realized not only do we need a DVM, a doctor of veterinary medicine, to be at the center of this thing, but he's got to look the part and he's got to be the part. I need his story. So I spent a lot of time understanding his world. Just a little bit of background, 5 seconds here. His great grandparents were mahouts in India. So this family trained elephants for battle and then also for parades in India. It's like insane. And his specialty is he's a therianologist. So he's a baby maker in the world of veterinary medicine. That story, coupled with his personal attachment to the space, is what got foot in the door with all these docs. And then you get a flood of emotions because the docs have been running their practices for 25, 30 years. We've got one of them, he's in Connecticut. He's like 79 years old. He's like, you want me to stay on for another 5 years? I said, no, you're right. And his wife's sitting there right next to him, and she runs the front office and does all the teamwork. And she's like, yeah, this is like every other PE group that we've talked to. You guys suck. Right? I'm like, first of all, I look better and I'm way smarter.
Yeah.
But I'm also willing to throw myself out there and make a bit of a jackass out of myself to help other people feel at home and at ease. And that worked. You just poke fun at people and it works. And get them a little off kilter. And all of a sudden then you just kind of saw her just relax. Her shoulders kind of just, she did this. And then she started leaning in when we started talking about a little bit of tax strategy. And we said, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not 5 years. Maybe it's 15 years, right? Can he still be working when he's 6 feet under, right? And then she started laughing. I'm like, I need to be on this life insurance policy, whatever y'all have going on. Can you please make me a beneficiary, right? You don't have kids. And so it was hilarious. But at the same time, she needed that to feel secure, to talk about, hey, we've got an HR problem. We've got we have a patient that's suing us. Can you guys deal with that? How would you deal with that? We've got technology we want to upgrade. We have Easy Vet that we want to upgrade. It's one of their CRM systems. How do we upgrade this tech? How do we do these financials? What do you need? And all the while, we're still doing 4 to 5 visits every hour. And we're a 1 doc, 1 wife team. That's it. That was a problem.
Wow.
And then you really quickly realize to do 10 is literally like you're literally hurting dogs and cats, right? Because you're not just having one conversation with the seller. It's a one conversation with the seller, another one with the spouse, another one with their counsel, another one with the accountant, and then daddy needs alcohol and therapy, right? Like that's me.
So you have this times 10
Every week,
right? Yeah.
And shepherding that process though was, all right, listen, let's craft a deal that makes sense for you. Maybe it's not 5 years, maybe it's a year and a half. And then maybe you can mentor the rest of the new associates coming in. All right, do you have any health challenges, anything we got to worry about? I know that's super personal, but I ask anyway. I'm pretty sure the HR people in the room would say that's probably not something I should ask.
Well, they don't work for you
probably
yet, right?
Yeah, no, it didn't work for me yet. So
You can do whatever the hell you want.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, right? And so having these conversations took 8 months, not an additional 8 months, but during a 8-month timeline. I dated the CEO and then all these other docs and their spouses and whomever, and very quickly realized, wait, we're going to have LOIs that start expiring really soon, and I need to go to market with this thing. Guess what, guys? 10 docs. We had 6 LOIs expire. They had offers from like other PE firms. I didn't lose a single one. Think about that. And that has everything to do with the relational equity that was built over an 8-month period because they're not going anywhere else. Right? We're taking advantage of 1202. So the founding team gets, I think now it's up to 15 million in tax-free capital gains, long-term, short-term, long-term capital gains in a period of 5 years. So that's great. And we fulfilled their wishes and we still have a really awesome communication cadence. And I'm still asking to be put as a beneficiary on his life insurance policy.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, you dated, you did a great job, you built a rapport. Talk to me about some of the successes that you saw, like early on by doing this process and developing that relationship. But also, let's start with the success.
Yeah.
Give me a success where you guys have been
6 months.
6 months. So you're 6 months into this. Show me how. Give me a success story about how it's actually worked out in your favor through this process. But also share with us where maybe something went wrong and you had to, re-earn that trust and make sure that they stayed on board with what you're working on.
So the first example is the EasyVet CRM system. Let's do the one that's wrong first. That one a little hairy. So initially, when you're upgrading a system or you're transitioning systems from an existing system to a new one, that's going to take some time, right? It's not going to take 30 days. It'll take like 12 months. Sucks. I hate technology like that. And when we're migrating tech and we're installing new add-ons and things, the training takes a while, the integration takes a while. And they thought, well, geez, you guys come in and it'll be done in 45 days. It wasn't done in 45 days. And they had an expectation it was going to be 45 days. They were attached to the expectation it was going to be 45 days because they had, I think 2 of them had vacations already planned. They had to cancel their vacations and stay put. Like that was really annoying, but then we made it up to them later. What I realized for me is I need to put myself in their shoes, and using my little momentum matrix, here's what we did. We said, okay, how much confidence do you have that this piece of tech will work for you? And it was 0. And how much clarity do you have that it will get done appropriately? 0. So they were in the state of paralysis where you're so distraught mentally, you can't move physically. We all have maybe been there once or twice in our lives. We get it, right? That is where they were when they thought about HR, tech, people. How do we hire the right associate, etc. From the technology piece, we brought in the EasyVet tech team, and we said, okay, we'll address 1 doc at a time. There are 10 docs all that span from the Northeast United States all the way into Florida. So the question is, well, what do you do? Because everybody has needs. So we had EasyVet come in. We had an individual from EasyVet's team assigned. for the technology transition.
Mhm.
And we said, all right, let's first get clarity on the milestones we need to hit. And then let's get the confidence that that's not the executive team, but the team responsible for the tech integration can work well with the doctor's office, with the veterinarian's office. And the more that you do that, the better of a cadence that you have. Now you start to slowly get to that momentum zone where you have a high degree of clarity and a high degree of confidence of execution. Most companies, as a quick side note, most companies will stay in the momentum matrix not forever. On average, they will stay in this zone of momentum, the zone of momentum, for about 4 to 5 weeks. The key is to pay attention to who is getting attached to what outcome. And that's when you catch it. The best companies are those that recognize when they're falling out of the zone of momentum, and they start to then turn themselves and pivot back inside that zone because they're catching the attachments to the expectations of the team.
So it all boils down to missed expectations. I think it's going to go one way and it's going a different way, and
Yeah.
it puts me somewhere out here.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Because if you have a high degree of clarity and a low degree of confidence, what word do we have here for that? A high degree of clarity and a low degree of confidence?
Overthinking.
Yeah. Like, I've just got now 18 million initiatives, and my Claude AI bot is reminding me that I have 18 million initiatives, and then I'm going to tell it to go do everything and then claim it's my work, right? But like, there's nothing human about it. But that's the overthinking stage. It's, oh man, I've got 15 different things I've got to go do. And this is where business owners, this is where a lot of clients get stuck, right? Like if you're an insurance advisor, right? Like, is life insurance really a high priority for a lot of people? Maybe, depending on what life stage they're in.
Right.
Right. But like, you've got to get them beyond this stage of, well, I've got 15 other things that I have to pay attention to. Right. One of them is going to Target and getting a hair product, or getting my Christian Louboutins relacquered. Like, that is a number 2 priority for me.
So that was a difficult situation.
Yeah.
In hindsight, do you recall what went wrong, like how you got there, like so we can all learn from it? Like, what was the learning curve? You obviously came in and corrected it, but if you were to educate us all right out the gate, like what would you have done differently?
Clear communication from the get-go, clear expectations from the get-go. This is everything to do with expectation management. I should have put together, I'm a big fan of Pipedrive, and so I should have put together like a proper pipeline and put everybody in a particular stage, and then said, okay, we're doing the Northeast first, then we'll do the Mid-Atlantic, and then we'll do Florida. And here's your time slot window. I did none of that. Definitely should have done that. It would have reduced our go live time probably by 2 or 3 months.
Oh wow, good learning curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the fund, so it's a private credit fund that we worked with on this deal, not private equity, private credit. There's a difference. One's primarily debt and the other's primarily equity. Many of us want PE. Steve, you want PE? Like, you want to buy a business and sell to PE one day? Yeah, no, you don't. Like, you want to have golden handcuffs and then PE's bitch for like 7 years afterwards as I'm telling you what to do? Yeah. Because that's what I'm going to do. We're like, you come to, yeah. Yep. I'm like, own you for the next decade. And that's what happens. What you really want is, you want private credit. You want the flexibility. You want ownership, but you don't want 80% ownership. You want 22% ownership. Okay? So we dropped that go live timeline by 2 to 3 months. Should have. And I think the fund would have been happier. Now I'm getting questioned as to like, hey man, your CEO is screwing up. You hired a fractional CTO. They're not talking. They've got, and you can feel it in every stand-up call on a Tuesday and Thursday morning. You get to the technology session, and they're like, hey, so how's that going? And we'll spend 5 seconds on it. That should have been a signal to me. Oh, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
We're just glossing over the tech side.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to spend more time here.
So that you brought that up, and I think that's a great point that I want to make. So what's it like being in your chair and having the heart that you do for these people and seeing these things and wanting to lead it this way? Yeah, you have partners, right? And then partners are typically the guys with the money, right? So the capital people that have come in and decided to be, partners with you.
The soulless cesspool.
Yeah, so the soulless cesspool. So, so how is it that you bridge the gap between them right? And the pressure that they're putting on you to perform,
Yeah.
but then still keeping it your way in the sense that you're able to continue to maintain these relationships. How do you continue to get them on board without them coming and breathing down your neck and making everybody stressed out?
Well, I'm I'm a man and I have no feelings. So, I write really pointed emails, and that's how I run my life. No, in fact, quite the opposite, right? I step fully into the shoes of whomever is feeling it, and I solve the problem that they need to have solved, and then very quickly realizing that if we do that for each other, you can fly like the Blue Angels. Like when I don't know if y'all have seen the YouTube video of like how the Blue Angels train. Badges off, one room. They don't talk about whose fault it was. It's okay, what happened, and very candid, very open, very transparent communication. That is something that I have with our CEO. And if it's good, bad, or ugly, I'll tell you, hey, this person's underperforming. If you want to take advantage of the situation, here's how you do it. If you want to pip this person, you want to put them on a performance improvement plan, this is how you do it. But should we?
Right.
Maybe this person is going through a really tough time, and that's something we're not addressing, and that becomes a culture thing for me. Like culture is what drives rev. It's what drives enterprise value. And anybody that says otherwise is full of shit.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that. And I was concerned. I was afraid you were going to say the word idiot.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, can I cuss? Is that allowed? Am I allowed to?
Thank God. Jeez. We dodged that bullet.
Gosh.
Well, we're getting close to wrapping up, but I want to talk about practical application for this room, right? And so we talked earlier that this is a group of advisors, and so and we're in that trusted advisor chair, and so pivoting now. What's the secret to this momentum matrix, right? I think all of us want to be able to get our clients to a stage of momentum and keep them there. And we know that that's going to pivot. But what are the keys to being able to execute this in our job? Whether we're trying to counsel them to make a decision to move forward on something we're offering, or maybe we're trying to counsel them to be more equipped and prepared for what that season is going to feel like when they do, go to sell their company or have a major decision. We have to be shepherds of that process. What's the secret to being great at that?
Close your eyes and listen to what they have to say. And there's a tool that I've always used. I learned it on radio. It's easier, I was telling Jay this earlier, it's easier for me to have a conversation with somebody without looking at them. Only because I hear their vocal tones and what they're saying and how they're saying it. So here's a really easy example. If I start here and I start my sentence here and I end here, that's what we call an upswing. Okay. Typically, did you hear that? Do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again.
That little thing?
The little uptick,
yeah.
The upswing. What does that kind of tell you? What does that tell you if you're speaking with somebody? What does that upswing tell you?
You lack a little confidence.
Lack a little confidence. Maybe need a little clarity. Maybe you've got a question, or maybe you're nervous. Maybe it's something that you don't want to do. You're fearful. You've got doubt somewhere. So then it becomes your job as an advisor to help them shift their identity and see themselves as the person you want them to be, but then make them feel like it's their freaking idea. And that's the secret sauce. That's what I guess I'm somewhat good at. And I felt that on radio. The downswing is quite the opposite, right? It is do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. So if I am speaking to a room, right, it's never hands down, it's always palms up, right? It's more inviting, body language. And when you say, hey, insurance is really good, especially if you use a whole life insurance policy coupled with whatever, the cash value, blah, 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 you can do so many incredible things. What do you think about the strategy? So you're not asking a question, you're making a statement in the form of a question, and they will respond to you. And then if you want to manipulate somebody, this is actually fantastic. I used to do this with my mom all the time.
Not that he
learned
does
from her.
it, but if you want
No, it's like super, like you can force a yes by doing this to like things that people would like they would never really say or like agree with. Like, hey, yeah, the earth is flat, right?
Oh,
So you see like the motion of my hands when I'm saying yes, I'm going to force you to say yes.
does it work on wives?
I'll leave that up to you to decide.
The answer is nothing
No,
works.
of course
No,
not.
it's not that. It's the universe.
I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, so we've got the upswing and the downswing, and here's how we blended the momentum matrix. If you've got somebody with an upswing, typically it's either one of these three zones. They're wandering, they're overthinking, or they're in a state of paralysis. Now the question that you then have to ask, you have to figure out what zone are they in, and that just comes from digging. Hey, listen, I understand you might be a little uneasy about this idea of life insurance. Can you help me understand, like maybe just explain to me like what you're thinking about it? Because you're the authority. They don't know any better than you, right? And if you step into your full like authority and claim that space, they'll follow you until you do what you would do for your kid, which is now it's your time to lead. And then have them coach it back. And eventually you'll find out what their attachments are. You'll find out like what they're attached to and why they're saying no, and what the biggest challenge that revolves around veterinary is. Like for me, it was the rollover equity. They didn't want 25% rollover equity. Like all the deals that we did were average 4.5, let's just call it average 4 to 4.5 times EBITDA, 60% cash at close, okay? They took this deal, 60% cash at close, 25% rollover, and the rest in an earnout. No seller notes. That is unheard of. And you go to these institutional guys, UHY is in the room. Where's UHY? What's his name? Steve? Not Steve? Brian? Matthew? I don't know. I was talking to somebody on LinkedIn, and they're like, we're going to see you today. Perfect. Anyway, so like you even take a look at some of UHY's data or SPP partners. If you go to SPP partners, they have a lot of data on this. It is 60% cash at close, and then the rest is rollover / earnout expectation.
So we've got 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
So great opportunity to open it up for questions. Great job, by the way.
You be sweating up here.
Are you sweating?
Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's
I need
we
to-
just turned it up. I wanted you to feel that heat.
Damn it.
Yeah. Welcome to Houston, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Questions. And as you're thinking about questions, you can ask about momentum matrix. You can ask about the state of capital markets, lending, private credit, private equity, FO stuff, family office, anything that we want. If I don't know, I'll tell you, and I'll get back to you. Yeah.
Curious, what other industries did you buy into?
We did dental. I'm really looking at internal medicine in Arizona. I live in Georgia. If you have an MD in the state of Georgia, you can have a maximum of 6 nurse practitioners that you can supervise. In Arizona, you know what that number is? It's unlimited. So that's really interesting. I have a buddy of mine right now who has 5 practices, and he's growing like crazy. He's like, I'm growing 200% a year. I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear like 5 to 7% growth, because that's the narrative. That's the institutional narrative. They don't want 200% growth. Like that's like angel VC, go to Sequoia. I love healthcare. I love media. I was part of a deal on Hefner Capitals. I don't know if I should. Yeah, it's a Playboy. So Hefner Capital, they did $100 million. We raised $100 million from, I can't remember the name of the group anymore. It's 2024. So I like media. I like the YouTube exposure. I think that's really interesting. The gig creator economy is really cool. And then critical infrastructure, really boring businesses. HVAC is great. I mean, I don't belong in that room only because like you're lifting really heavy stuff, and look at me. I'm too pretty. So I know what a sledgehammer looks like. I'm damn sure not going to pick one up. Yeah. Questions? Another question? Yeah, right here.
So you focused on the people side, nurturing the relationship prior to getting into a deal.
Yeah.
What happens, or how do you budget for the fact that you spent maybe like eight months talking to this group, and then suddenly everything fell apart? Like,
I have the budget.
do you just source it yourself, or do you have outside investors that?
No. Yeah, I mean, if you want to play the game, you've got to pony up to play the game. if we're doing a deal with an FO, it's a pretty sizable deal, and it's like if you're buying a business, Steve, right? Like you need liquidity, so go and get it. If your LPs in your fund have confidence in you to perform, and they can wait for 12 to 18 months, and they don't mind losing their money, then great. It's probably not what you wanted to hear, but that's the most.
It is. I mean, it's good to.
Yeah, and everybody will expect you to have skin in the game. The question is how much. Okay, like do we all know how? Just real quick, I mean, do we all know? I know we've another question. I'll get to you in just a second. Do we know how to structure these deals, like seller financing, any kind of like rollover equity, earn out, seller note that becomes buyer's contributed equity to a deal? We know that. Like that is such powerful information when you're structuring a deal, and that's just on a M&A side. It's wicked. Like you can come to the table with maybe 2 or 3 or 4 percentage points, but you'll still need to come to the table with some money. Okay, question.
Yeah. Not as privy it's to these case as you are. You have a benchmark for elementary to enter, right? You've got
Yeah.
an enter benchmark. Is there a closure? I mean, do you stay with them forever? Like, what's your exit?
Yeah, every group is different. I'm a buy and hold guy. I don't mind doing a couple of recaps and holding on for 15 to 20 years. That's because we can. I'd like to see the full life cycle of the business from start to exit, but exit doesn't necessarily mean selling the business. Exit could mean a recap event and new leadership, and that's really interesting. There's a really big need. How much more time do I have? Like 30 seconds?
No, we got 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes.
Yep.
There's a really big need to create a financing tool for nurse practitioners right now because the federal government declassified NPs and RNs as professional degrees. So what that means is typically an RN or an NP in educational, if you're going for a federal loan, like Sally Mae, you could borrow up to $50,000 a year, but now you can only borrow up to $20,500 of that. And as a nurse practitioner, you have to go and find your own clinical rotations. So the total lifetime 2-year cost, the added cost is anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000. There are 50,000 NPs that graduate every year. They're missing their graduation deadlines, and they're not saving healthcare in America. So I found that to be really interesting, and we're building a tool around that. Will that tool be an asset to us for like 10 years? Unlikely. But will we do maybe 300 to 400 million in origination and then create forward flow agreements with like a community bank that wants to take on the risk? Yeah, probably, and then give that to some NP that wants to run it. Does that make sense? So it just depends on what you want to do. Yep. Question. Yep.
Sorry, I just had to hold the microphone, so I guess get that question.
Destiny.
So here's my question. People matter, right? But you already picked HVAC or veterinary or whatever. You don't pick the first. Like a VC would see 200 deals in the variety of industries and then pick the entrepreneur that they like, which means they pick a person, not necessarily the idea, right? Because they see the same idea probably 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, since you're kind of on the other side of that equation, do you just shun like 20 out of, for every one that you find in the space that you decided to?
So I'm pretty industry agnostic, contrary to what I just said. I think in the world of private credit and PE, you've got to play the game, but I don't care. Like it could be an auto, like I'm looking at an auto body roll up in the Midwest. Typically auto body shops are doing 1.5 million EBITDA. It's very interesting. The guy there grew up in auto body since 18 years old. He's got all the certs. He's done it before. He's got 5 that he wants to buy. That's 5 million EBITDA. He's getting them for 4.5 to 5 times, which is nice. The consolidated is probably 5 to 6 million EBITDA, let's call it. And then deal size on that's probably, let's just round up to 25 million. I know exactly who to go to get that done. That'll be Nomura, and they'll take the risk. We'll do that deal. But I am looking for the operator, but more than like the operator for me is 80% of it. The uniqueness of the industry is like the rest. Like a mentor once told me, you need 2 things. You need a high cost of switching for the client, and you need a high barrier of entry to get into an industry. Like I would never, ever, ever want to be a roofer in the state of Texas. You don't need a license. You need a truck and a freaking ladder, right? That's it. But not in Georgia. You need a license in Georgia. But everybody can do that deal. So I don't want to do a deal if everybody can do it. I'm looking for something hyper niche, like salmon farming. Perfect. You know how much salmon Americans eat? Like, and that's such a big need. Just don't eat tilapia. You've heard the story around tilapia? Okay. They eat the excrement of the salmon. Yeah, that's why it smells funky. Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, Misty, don't ever.
Don't ever. It's
Yeah, I don't know. Fair enough.
I think that's it.
Okay, one more question.
Sonia,
Yeah.
what is your exit strategy for your firm?
I don't think in terms of 50 or 60 years. I think in terms of 200 to 300. So I'm grooming the next gen of talent. So they have the same values and the same beliefs and the same ideas. And my expectation that I'm not attached to is they'll do it better than me, because everybody deserves that chance. There's no reason why I should be doing what I'm doing. Right? I'm a brown guy from Southwest Michigan that happened to go to a really good school that didn't do well academically, that screwed up, went bankrupt, 4 foreclosures, $1 million in debt, happened to be on a radio show, happened to meet really cool people like everybody here and Jay. And Kurt's moving back to Houston, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing the more technologically focused society becomes, the more we need a human connection. And the number one skill that anybody can develop in the world of today is that of storytelling. And then, of course, it helps if you're good looking and intelligent and you can wear the right shoes and stuff.
So this we can get a big round of applause, please. With any luck,
Take a bow.
I'll be
Yeah.
linger.
Great job.
Calendar will be in next month. We look forward to seeing everybody for. We have to wait for another half an hour.
Need this? It was fun.
Stay around and now.
Sure.
Look forward to seeing you.